Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Sunday Summary. I'm your host, Kyle. With me, as always, is Steve. Steve, good morning to you. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. You're skipping around a little bit. I don't know if the
Oh, of
viewers are seeing
course.
that too, but let us know. How are we looking? How are
Do
we
I need to
sounding?
do the intro again?
I don't think so.
Was I skipping
I
that
think
much?
I don't know. I don't
Let me
know if it's
turn it.
just what I'm seeing or what everybody's seeing.
I put my phone on airplane mode. Hopefully that helps out. And it looks like it did a little bit. So
Yeah, seems to be all right now.
that's what I'm talking about. Good morning to everyone in the chat. My mother, Liz, Tony, and Liz. Let me just give some credit to Tony and Liz real quick. 43 months, Steve. That comes out to what? Six? Jesus. 3.5 years. 3.5 years for Liz and Tony, both being channel members. You guys are the OGs. You know this. Way back in the beginning. You guys, I appreciate it. That's all I can say. I just appreciate your support the whole time. You guys are amazing. Always there. And Hannah as well. Hannah's got to be coming up on some milestone here soon. But Tony and Liz, thank you very much. Shout out to everyone else in the chat. Steve, let's just get right into this, bro. Liverpool played their first preseason match behind closed doors earlier this week, losing 1-0 to Preston North End on like a lobbed goal. I saw a little bit of some of the clips from the match, and some of the football I saw was a little bit different, right? A lot more one-touch passing, a lot more like quick movements. And I had brought this up right before we went live, and it seemed like you were kind of in disagreement with me. But when we were in possession, not in counterattack mode, but when we were just strictly in possession under Klopp, at least in the last couple of years, just seemed like everything was very slow and methodical. Very slow and methodical. And when I was watching the slot ball, if we want to call it that, it was one touch. It was quick. It was exciting.
Well, I think it's also against lesser competition in a match that doesn't matter.
We still lost.
So you can, well, that's a whole other thing. We should win that match, but look, we rotated a lot. I think whatever. I'm not worried about the results so much, but
it was just for minutes, right? Getting these guys minutes.
Yeah.
Get them burned.
And in terms of style of play, I think it's important to remember that you're playing against a much lesser quality side, if you will. When you're in the Premier League and every minute, every touch matters, that's why it's a bit more methodical. I think you'll see it slow down a bit once the season starts.
There was actually an interview earlier this week with Andre Onana, and it was maybe it wasn't earlier this week, but a clip of it came up earlier this week, and they were asking him about the Eredivisie, Champions League, and then Premier League. He actually said that the Premier League is much more intense, or he would peg it as much more intense than the Champions League even. So that might be a good point. Good analysis there, Steve. Max 19, what's going on? That Preston game reminded me of how Feyenoord played against Atletico Madrid in the Wanda Metro in the UCL. This is exactly how he plays. It was okay. Nice. Aylor, what's going on, man? Afternoon. Preston had an efficiency rate of 100%, one shot, one goal. That's rare. Yeah, that's preseason for you. Preseason, the results are just bonkers, right? I think 25 people played or something like that. 25 players played. So we were just trying to get some guys burned, get some minutes in the legs. So I think that's what we're
Did Sepp play for Preston or for Liverpool?
That's a great question. Oh, man.
And what about Ben Davies? Which kit did he put on?
Who the hell does Ben Davies play for now, bro? Jeez. Good Lord. Half of our team has played for Preston North End, I feel like. Seriously. Oh, man. But that's a good transition, bro. Sepp Vandenberg is actually standing out. He's apparently been one of the standout players this preseason. Now, who knows? I have a strong feeling he gets loaned out again, okay? But there's always that possibility that he steps in to fill a void that is going to be left when Joe Gomez assumes the number 3 center back role. Maybe, unless we sign someone else, because Matip's gone. Who Leverkusen are looking to sign on a free transfer, by the way. So good for Matip. But it looks like Vandenberg is actually attracting interest from other clubs as well, mainly Mainz and Wolfsburg. Now, Dutch journalist Rijk Elfrink has regularly commented that Liverpool are demanding 20 million euros for Vandenberg, which would be a hell of a for Vandenberg to get 20 million. That's amazing. PSV are also interested in securing his services. And Steve, 20 million for Vandenberg, you let him go?
Yeah.
I think it's a good price.
See ya.
What do we get him for? Like one
Yeah.
million?
If that, I don't even remember. But yeah, 20 million
20 million.
for a guy that's likely not going to play much. Yeah.
God, but dude, I just want to see him play. I would love a world where Sepp Vandenberg just now, like, please gets a Premier League appearance, dude. I swear to God, for some reason, I think the last time he played a competitive match for Liverpool was against like Lincoln City in like the cup, the League Cup. I swear, I feel like that's the last competitive match he's played for us.
Yeah, I think it's just so rare, especially with Klopp at the helm. Who knows how it's going to be now? Again, I've said it many times. Once you become one of those players that gets loaned out, you just never make it into the first team.
Yeah, it's
loaned
tough.
out multiple times. Now Harvey's an exception. Some of the really young guys are an exception, but Sepp is like a Grujic in the sense that he's just constantly getting pushed out for loans. But if he's excelling, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they keep him around. I just don't know how much time he's going to get, how much playing time he's going to get. Well, and what's the plan with Gomez, and how fit is Konate going to be, right? Who are we going to sign?
Who are we going to sign? Exactly. Yeah. And there's three types of players. It seems like there's the first team player that you sign that plays for the team. Then there's the youth guy that is coming up from the academy that's getting random cup games, right? That you see on the bench that, you know, if he plays and he does well, maybe he gets some minutes. But then there's the third guy that Liverpool seemed to sign. And it's almost like you sign these young players, like you mentioned, Grujic, for like 1 million. You just loan them out for the length of a contract, right? 5 years. Every year you loan them out. And then maybe you extend them. And when the time comes, you just try to sell them on for 20x profit, right? We ended up selling Grujic for like, I want to say like 10 or 15 million, something around there to Porto. But you know, when you can 12x your money, 10x, 15x your money, it just seems like we have a lot of players that are fitting that mold. I don't know if Sepp Vandenberg is one of those guys. It actually kind of seems like he is. But dude, hell, I feel like Calvin Ramsey is one of those guys. You know what I mean? I feel like I worry, but it seems like we're loaning out a lot of other guys too, like Tyler Morton. You know, hopefully Tyler Morton isn't one of those guys because he's been doing really well. But do you know what I mean by, like, we have this player where they're always a lone player and we literally only have them in the team to make a profit. The only purpose they serve is to make a profit on them eventually.
I think it becomes that, but I don't necessarily know if they're purchased with that intention long term initially. Like Sepp Vandenberg, he's played a lot of first team football, but so did Grujic.
He did.
So now, that said, I don't think Grujic stood out as much as Sepp has, if that makes sense.
No, it absolutely does.
Like Sepp played like 30-something matches in the Bundesliga season. Like, that's a lot.
Well, I mean, how much? Let me see how much when what's his face went to Hertha Berlin. How many matches did he play? I'm interested if he's even playing right now at Porto, dude. His value's down to 6 million. Poor guy.
Well, he can't be young anymore.
How? Damn, he is 28. Dude, Marco Grujic is 28. If you asked me how old Marco Grujic was, I would have told you like 25 years old. Wow, that's crazy. All right, I'm looking up his stats right now. Yeah, we sold him on for I guess 9 million. 9 million. Okay. Give me some stats here. So he plays all the time. He's played 78 matches for Portugal. Let me go into the
Porto.
Bundesliga here. That's what I said. Here we go. Nope, that's not what I wanted. Sometimes transfer is a little bit touch and go. I'm trying to find like his specific statistics for this. I should have had it pulled up, but his highest market value got to 20 million, believe it or not. Let me see here. 23. Okay, so in 1920, he played 29 matches for Hertha Berlin, and the season before, because he did back-to-back loan spells there, he did 22, and he actually had 4 goals and 1 assist. So I mean, dude, this is another example. This is actually a perfect example. You look at those stats from a defensive midfield position, you're like, ooh, could this guy come back and be good? Never sniff the pitch, dude.
Never. He wouldn't even have made it on the bench.
No, and it's sad, but I mean that's business. You have to have players. You have to flip players. I mean it's just smart. You have to have players that you bring in for really low and then you sell them on for a profit. I I don't know if Ben Davies was one of those guys, but it seemed like he was just like a stopgap. But did he play at all, bro? He was just in the basement the whole time.
No, I don't think he played in a competitive match.
It's unbelievable. But
I'm probably wrong.
I don't want to speak ahead, too out of turn, but I'm worried Sepp Vandenberg is one of these guys, and I'm not. None of us are going to lose any sleep if Sepp Vandenberg gets sold on for 20 million. We're just gonna be like, oh man, what could have been? But part of me just wants it to work out. Like I want this wonder kid to come in. He's 22 and just be great. Like how awesome is it if you can spot talent at 17 years old and just be like, this guy's going to be great. And then one day he steps up and just starts being one of the starting center backs for the top Premier League club, top European club in the world. I mean, that's just crazy when you think about that journey. I don't know if it's going to happen.
I keep forgetting about Kwanzaa. Like, where would Sepp fit in, though? This is the thing. Like, let's say Konate picks up a knock or he needs rest, right? Like, we can for the most part probably count on Virgil to be available. Knock on wood.
Yeah.
And starting in these Premier League matches. He might get a break for a couple midweek matches later in the season. You know how it goes.
Of course.
A West Ham on a Wednesday night in the rain. Like, Van Dijk's not out there, right?
But can he do it on a cold night in Stoke, Steve?
Well, that's the thing. So the next man up is Kwanzaa, right? And then you have the debate of, would you rather have Gomez or Vandenberg? The problem is, if we don't see Vandenberg play in a competitive match, we don't know.
You don't know, exactly.
And neither does Slot. I don't care what you see in training. The games are a totally different thing, right? Like, we know what Gomez can do, especially at left back. So it's going to be interesting to see, but it's going to depend on who we sign too. If we bring in a solid center back this window, I just don't see Sepp sniffing the pitch, like even making it on the bench. That's the problem. You're not going to have 2 center backs on the bench.
Well, it's
4 center backs on the bench.
Well, here's what I have for some reason recently I've been having a tough time remembering certain players in the team, and it's kind of sad. Like I always forget we have Gravenberch. I don't know why. I always forget we have him. That's a problem because Gravenberch has probably the highest ceiling of anyone on the team. Maybe Darwin Nunez is probably a little bit higher, but I keep forgetting him. Another player I keep forgetting we lost, Steve, is Joel Matip. That's a huge hole to fill. Huge.
I wanted to extend him. I thought he deserved another shot.
It's tough.
He's been playing so good the last couple of years.
No, he has, bro. There's no denying. Everyone knows this. There's no denying Joel Matip might have been if he had a good, healthy run of games, he was in the conversation for the second best center back in the league. I mean, him next to Van Dijk, untouchable in their prime.
Yeah, they were so good.
They're so good, right? And you bring up Joel Matip to a rival fan, they'll be like, what? They just don't get it. But the timing of it, if he didn't tear his ACL, we would have extended him. I really do think so. But maybe it was a blessing in disguise, right? But after someone at that age tears their ACL, it's not smart to extend. It really isn't. And anyways, I always forget we let him go. So there has to be another top level player that we bring in. There's no world where Konate and Van Dijk, and we talked about this last week, and then this drop off to Gomez is an okay center back depth chart. You need someone else. Now, Kwanzaa, right? We were saying we forgot about Kwanzaa. Is Kwanzaa, would you put him at number 3 as a number 3 center back?
Yeah.
Okay. So he's good enough, then you put him up there with Matip or Konate?
No.
Okay. So then there's still a drop-off, right? So we had Konate and Matip, and you could just alternate them, which Klopp did all the time. But this past season, or at least when Matip went down, you had Kwanzaa and Konate alternating, which worked out. Kwanzaa really did well. Didn't know who he was until this season, but apparently he's just phenomenal. And that's great. So now you got to think like the next quality of center back you bring in, does it have to be better than Jarell Kwanzaa, or does it just need to be better than Joe Gomez? And if it is better than Joe Gomez, where does Joe Gomez fit in? Right? And if we do bring someone else in, Sepp Vandenberg ain't getting minutes, bro. And even though this article here says, I mean, James Pearce noted that Vandenberg caught the eye of Arne Slot and his staff in Liverpool, suggesting that he might be handed a significant opportunity in the upcoming friendlies. This development could be as crucial as it provides Vandenberg with the platform to cement his place in Liverpool's squad. If it's realistic, then it bears well. But if it's a sale tactic, then it needs to be sorted soon. So, despite him impressing, I truly think we're just fielding offers for him, dude. He does not have a place in this team. If he did, they'd really be pushing for him to get more minutes, which they never have. They always loan him out.
Well, that, and I think the guy wants to play. Like, you know, he hasn't, as we've discussed, he hasn't played a ton for us, if really at all. So I don't think he has this big allegiance to the badge, to the club, right? He's not a fan favorite per se. He wants to play.
He's a nothing but Reds favorite.
Yeah, he doesn't want to sit on the bench for an entire season at his age. All the kid wants to do is play. He probably doesn't make a ton. He just wants to play. And you're not going to play here. You could if there's injuries and we don't loan you out, but we don't want to see you play here because that means other people are hurt.
Oh, man. It's a sad day. Liz, thank you very much for gifting the membership. You guys keep the channel going. Seriously, you guys supporting all of our channel members, all of the super chats. We really appreciate you guys and everyone else just coming in and supporting the channel. We love you guys. Thank you very much. And Hannah says, Matip was done, but he was world-class for us. No denying it. We all agree. Matip was world-class.
No, we don't.
What, you don't agree?
We don't agree on the fact that he was done.
Oh, he tore his ACL.
So what?
What do you mean, so what?
The way dude, he was never going to be expected to play 40 games a season. But he could slot in as your number 3 option.
He could slot in.
He could play in, he could play in cup games. I don't think he was done at all. He was aging like fine wine.
Yeah, he really was. He was getting better with age, actually.
He was.
God. Ross, what's up, man? Ross says we need a mailed on third first teamer in central defense. Gomez is good, but I don't think he's reliable. And Vandenberg and Kwanzaa don't seem to be sufficiently high level. I agree with everything with the exception of Kwanzaa. I think Kwanzaa, we saw him so much. We have a huge sample size to go off Kwanzaa. Steve, are you kidding me? We just watched a whole season with Jarell Kwanzaa.
How much did he play, though? Here's the thing.
Oh
Here's
my
the thing.
God.
If you're going to be the third option, Kyle, listen, if you're going to be the third option,
Okay.
you need to be top tier. In other words, we can count on you for 35 games at a high level. You have to be that. We know he
Made
barely
one
put a
mistake.
foot wrong,
One
but
mistake.
I don't think anybody would bet that he is going to be that consistent for the long haul. When you don't get a ton of games, you're fresh. And so you can come in and really give it your all. But these seasons are long. And if you're a third choice center back, more likely than not, you're going to get a long run of games in the team if somebody gets hurt, right?
Mhm.
I think if you have Jarrell Kwanzaa as your number 3 option, you are really rolling the dice.
Oh, I agree. No,
Because
I
there's no way
wholeheartedly
that
agree.
they know more about his consistency than we do, in the sense that they've only seen what we've seen. And nothing before last season can prove anything.
Okay. You mean in the
You know
league,
what I mean?
right?
So what I'm saying is if the club goes into the season and they're like, oh, Kwanzaa will be our third option, I think that's a major risk.
It's a major risk.
And I think he has been sufficiently high level, Ross. But I think what I feel, and maybe what you're getting at, is we can't count on that because we simply don't know. And if you slot him in, and he's not as consistent as he was last year, well, then what? Then you're going Gomez and Konate could be good enough to win some games,
risky.
but you don't want to be in that position. You don't want to leave yourself vulnerable. And if Jarrell Kwanzaa has to start for you on a regular basis, I think you could be vulnerable.
Steve, I think you're going to be extremely surprised at how many matches he played last year. Because when you said we don't have a big enough, or you didn't say this directly, but you were implying it, that we didn't have a big enough sample size. He played 17 Premier League matches. He played
That's
7
what I was
Europa
getting
League
at,
matches.
is Premier League.
He played 4 FA Cup matches and 5 EFL Cup. Okay. That is 33 appearances. 33. Okay. He played a total of 1,190 minutes in the Premier League. Okay.
Which isn't a lot. That's like 11
for
games
17
worth.
matches? For 17 matches?
That's like 11 matches worth of games, dude. That's like 11 full times. It's not that much, is what I'm saying.
It's more like 13 or 14 full times.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to do some quick math here.
Did they not count extra time as minutes played?
They do. Okay, fine. Let's just say 95.
Okay, so it's 100 per match.
Okay. No. We'll be conservative. We'll say 100 per match. So then it would come out to 12, roughly. 12 full
How many
appearances.
minutes? Okay, 12.
12.
That's less than a third of the season. He didn't play a ton in the Premier League.
He didn't even get the call up until Matip got injured, though, right?
No, I think he was there.
Okay.
I
agree with you.
He had 13 starts in the Premier League.
That's what I thought. 13 starts. Okay. So 13 starts in the Premier League. That's still pretty damn good. And then Europa League, 7, FA Cup, 4, EFL Cup, 5. This guy was super consistent. And I'll go to your favorite site to see his rating. Who scored?
I love Who Scored.
I bet his rating's like a 7.
He played the same amount as Gravenberg, who I felt like we barely saw.
Oh, dude, fucking Gravenberg.
Gravenberg had more appearances, but about the same amount of minutes.
So, wow. All right. So in the Europa League, he was a 7.08. League Cup, 6.8. Premier League, 6.8. That's still, I don't know. Dude, I think we're all getting at the same thing here. That Jarrell Kwanzaa isn't the answer, but I'm telling you that Jarrell Kwanzaa is still a pretty damn good player.
No, he's really, really good. But yeah, I think this is not in any way to take away from him. This is about what you need, want, or what is required from a club to win the league. That's all that matters. right? Like, we don't want a third or fourth place finish. We don't want to fight for a Champions League spot. We don't want to do that. Arsenal aren't going anywhere. City or City. We had the league in our hands last year with this exact squad. No one's really come or gone. But you have to improve it because you fell short. And at times, the problem was the defense. And in years past, when we dominated, that wasn't an issue. When we were really, really on top of the world, the defense was not necessarily an issue. Sure, we were vulnerable on the counterattack against pacey wingers and forwards, and we'd get beat here and there. But like last year, watching the matches, I felt like we didn't control games as well. We didn't win games as comfortably. And then we had that drop off that we always have in the spring. So if they think they're all set at center back, then they must feel very strongly about Sepp Vandenberg. If they don't bring anyone in, then they're putting a lot of weight in Sepp Vandenberg's ability, which is petrifying to me.
It's scary. Now, all the links right now, not all the links. 75% of the links right now are to center backs. You got Gonzalo Inacio being linked. You got Kasunu of Leverkusen. And then, of course, the Calafiori to Arsenal deal is falling through, it looks like. And I don't know. A lot is still up in the air. But the thing is, even all of these names, they're not like players that are going to come in and play all the time. And we just rode out under Klopp for so long with 4 center backs. 4, right? One always went down.
I wonder if this is happening. You're in the market for a center back, right? There's no doubt we've had conversations with plenty of, right? They're working on it. I haven't lost any faith in Michael Edwards. He is the best at finding some value in the market. But I wonder if some of these center backs aren't really itching to come here because of that reason, because they would be a third or fourth choice. These guys that are in the 40 to 60 million range, they're nailed on starters for 99% of European clubs. There's only a handful of European clubs where you really probably don't have a chance to start. Unless you're going to overtake Konate, which I don't think there's many people that can. Although he was inconsistent last year. I'm not forgetting that. Like, you know what I mean? You look at these guys and they want to make a move to a big club, but they still want to play. They still want like praise, and they want minutes, and they want glory, and they want to become club fan favorites. Like Gravenberch is not a fan favorite, and no one really cares about him because he doesn't play. But he would play for 99% of the clubs.
Well, the thing is I think Liverpool took a chance. They saw an opportunity with him, right? Because we were linked with him before he went to Bayern, right? And then we saw an opportunity like, look, it's not working out for Bayern. Let's go get this guy. Maybe we can, revitalize his career. And so far, he's had little spurts, but very underwhelming. Okay, but going back to what you were saying about, the players having to want to come here. That's what a lot of people, we brought this up last week. A lot of people don't realize that it's, you can criticize FSG about spending money all you want. Players still have to want to make the move, right? If they don't want to make the move, for the most part, like you're not going to force a player to come here unless you pay them a lot of money. And then even then it's kind of like, you're just risking a lot with that. But either way, that's why I think we're being linked with the names we're being linked with, because we can't, there's no one on the market right now that you could go out and get that plays ahead of Konate and Van Dijk. Not a single person. So anyone you go out and get is going to be third or fourth fiddle. So in that sense, you got to be very particular about who you go out and get. All right. West Ham got Tordebo on loan, a deal we should have explored. Okay. So this is another example. When you think about loaning players, they likely weren't sold on Tordebo. That's what we do in the past is we bring in players if we're not sold on them, say Kabak, right? You feel them out. Usually it's more of an analysis period. So who knows what Tordebo can do? Ross says we tried that with what I face from
What's his
Brighton.
face? It's
with
Casado.
Casado, yeah, insane. But he didn't want to come. End of story. Yeah, no, that I blame his agent for that. I really do. I blame his agent wholeheartedly. The Casado was just in the passenger seat for that. His agent was like a piece of shit. Excuse my French. But some of the new type of training is introduced. This is what I brought up a little bit earlier. So yeah, this sensory restriction training has been around for a while, guys. We are just seeing it with the goalkeepers, though. It's almost like putting on drunk glasses and then goalkeeping. It's just a way to heighten other senses by taking away or limiting one sense. So that's been around for a while, but I do like seeing that new technology integrated into training. For some reason, I just thought about putting ankle weights on everyone and having them train. That might work out. Oh, my God. Steve, can I just get your take on Gravenberch real quick?
Good guy to have in the rotation. Good, like, fifth option, sixth option in the midfield.
Someone said in the chat that he'll be sold next summer.
I wouldn't be surprised if he was sold, and I also wouldn't be mad. But, like, it's a long season, man. We're going to need him.
We're absolutely going to need him.
I mean, he played. Don't get me wrong. He played. He just didn't start a ton.
Yeah.
And, I mean, Ryan Gravenberch as your, we'll call it sixth or seventh option in the midfield, like, I'm okay with that.
But I
don't have a problem with that.
I love that because our midfield, we have all these options now. I want that in the defense. I want that in the defense because, we'll talk about Trent and Van Dijk here. I guess now we can transition into it, but it seems as if Van Dijk only made those comments about he doesn't know about his future because he had just lost. He just lost in the Euros. He's not going to want to talk about his future right then and there. You're in a very negative mindset, but he's going to extend. He loves the club. He's captain of Liverpool. He's good. He's staying. Okay. But his time's wrapping up, right? He's getting into the twilight of his career. You do need somebody to come up and step in and fill that role. And even if it is Konate, you need someone else to step in and fill Konate's role. So we still should be looking. We still should be going out and finding depth for the defensive positions.
It's the only place we don't have depth is center back. In my opinion, the only place we don't have enough is center back. You could even argue that with Bradley and Trent, we have enough at right back. And with Gomez as a third option there.
Yeah.
We have enough. Tsimikas and Robbo at left back, Gomez in the mix as well. There's enough. Kelleher, Allison, right? Maybe right wing, you could say. There's not enough. But it's Sepp Vandenberg, right? We just need another center back, dude. And I would like another defensive midfielder.
Oh yeah, we had talked about that.
But those are nice to haves. Another defensive midfielder, maybe a right back, maybe a right winger. Those are nice to haves. A center back is an absolute need. Because again, you do not want to rely on Jarell Kwanzaa. Like, let's just say Van Dijk goes out. Would you feel confident with Konate and Kwanzaa for the bulk of the season?
No, this is my point. This is my point, dude.
But the reason why is because who's behind them? They could be sufficient. They could be fine. It probably wouldn't be as good as Van Dijk in one of them.
But you're still rolling the dice.
You're rolling the dice because then you have no depth, no quality after them. And Sepp Vandenberg can't be that guy.
And you also have to think about the volume of games that you play throughout the year, right? You're forced to rotate throughout the year. If people are injured, you don't have the luxury to even rotate. Okay, so you're playing Sepp Vandenberg in a Europa League match because you don't have anybody, or a Champions League match, whatever.
Riddle me this. Entertain this for a second.
I'll entertain
What
it.
What if Slot is thinking about putting Trent in midfield?
Look, the Stars are. I said this last week and the week before. Everyone shits on Southgate. Southgate was the only manager with the balls to flat out put Trent in midfield. He gave him the opportunity, so I'll give him that credit, okay? And everyone's shitting on Southgate because he benched Trent. He was the only one who gave Trent the opportunity to play in the midfield, so we'll give him that. If you play Trent in the midfield, Steve, then you have a whole nother plethora of issues. You got to get another right back.
I would feel comfortable. I think this team could win the league. Ready? Trent in midfield, McAllister, Soboslai. Sure. Endo, whatever. Elliott, okay? The midfield, a lot of options there. Up top, Jota, Nunez, Salah. And then in the back, Gomez at right back. Bradley backs him up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Konate, Virgil, Robbo, Allison. That team can win the league.
Right. But
to me,
where's the depth?
That's the problem. That's always been the problem. We've said it for 5 years. If you want to break into the first 11, you better be damn good. The only place that players for the last 3 seasons have had a chance to break into the starting lineup is in midfield. And now that's almost completely gone.
Oh, no, dude, our depth, it's unreal. 1 year, we went from having no depth in the midfield to now having players that I forget that play midfield. We have almost 3 full midfield depth charts, right?
Yeah.
Between McAllister, Endo, and Soboslai, and then you have Gravenberch, Elliott, and Jones, and then you have
Endo,
Bacetic, and then
one other,
and Carvalho else. Now. Carvalho's back. You have so many midfield options. It's crazy. And so, I'm not worried about midfield anymore, but the defense is almost naked. It's absurd.
No, the center halves feel almost naked.
Yeah.
But no, we have, if Trent's not in the midfield, you got Trent and Bradley at right back. We'll call Gomez third option. On the left, you have Robbo, Tsimikas. We'll call Gomez third option. And then you have Kwanzaa, Konate, Virgil, Gomez fourth option, Vandenberg. When you talk through it, it doesn't sound awful, but we need one more.
You need 2 more, especially if you talk about how you said with Trent, if he decides to go to the midfield, which, again, dude, there's so much up in the air. I just don't see a world. I just don't see a world where he plays midfield. I really don't. I think it'd be a risk to play him in midfield. And not because he couldn't do it, but just because it throws everything off. Trent's been playing right back since he came into the first team. He played a hybrid role last year, which was great, but he can still do that from right back. He can still be a deep line.
You lose a lot, too. If he goes into midfield, you gain quite a bit. You gain probably one of the best passers in the world. Him and De Bruyne, I would say, can do things with the ball. Cruz, right? That not many people can do. They can put it anywhere at any time from any angle. They don't need a running start to ping one accurately.
And putting him centrally elevates his game tremendously. When you're stuck in like the corner of the pitch, it's tough to create, and he still does. But from the middle of the pitch, he's a different animal. So I get that aspect of it, right? But for some reason, now maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Slot does play him in the midfield. I don't know. Maybe he does a double pivot and he plays. But I just don't know if I can fully commit to a Trent in the midfield.
No, I don't know if I can either. I'm just thinking when he gets back in training, the first day we'll know. Whenever, I don't think he's back yet, right? They just finished like a week ago, I feel like.
Shit, I know McAllister's not coming back till like August 2nd. And, so I'm assuming a lot of these guys, won't come back until the first week in August. A lot of English guys. But this talking about Trent, I mean, the biggest news is that he's being linked with a move to Real Madrid. And we got to talk about it because I would lose my mind. I would lose my mind if he somehow went to Madrid. I'd lose my shit, Steve.
I think there are concrete links, but I don't think it would happen. He's a Scouser. He's the next captain of this club, I believe. It would be the biggest shock.
Since Coutinho.
Maybe ever.
Okay, no, fair. Given he's like a Scouser, yeah.
Yeah, it's in his blood. He came up through the academy. He has won everything. He's magical moments. Everybody loves him. There's so much controversy around him with England, but like here, there is as well, but we still love Trent. We still know what he can do. He is world class. There are holes in his game, just like everybody else. Like, I don't know why I always think about him and De Bruyne like in a very specific class because of their ability to pass the ball. But De Bruyne has holes in his game too. He can't defend. He can't stay fit.
But no one talks about De Bruyne being like his lack of defensive play. And the reason is because of where he plays. Okay, if Trent was a set on center mid, like played midfield, he would be in that conversation. I mean, let's assume he would be because of his passing ability, right? But because he plays a defensive position, there's a whole 50% of his game that is holding him back. At least in the eyes of other people, at least in the eyes of rivals. But we know the ability is there.
To me, he's gotten better. I think sometimes because he's asked to go, this is just a guess, but I think sometimes because he's literally an end-to-end player. He's taking corners. He's in the box. He's whipping in crosses all game. Then he has to get all the way back. I think sometimes when we're not in possession, he falls asleep for a second. And he gets beat at the back post. He gets beat at the back post.
Dude,
he's
Trent,
not paying attention to who's behind him. And that's the biggest problem for me. I'm okay if somebody dribbles past you. Like, you're human. If you get dribbled past once a game, okay. Like, these things happen to everyone. Because we have such good defenders, he sticks out like a sore thumb. But
Trent is allergic to the back post.
No, he really is. And Ross, this is what I'm saying here. Trent in the midfield says defensive imbalance to me. Mainly this last sentence. Maybe Gomez plays there when he moves into midfield. That's what I'm saying. I would actually be okay with that. I think that could work. But who knows what Slot's going to do. This could all just be hearsay and a 0% possibility that this happens.
Right, we're speculating. I think, he is a perfect inverted right back. I mean, that is what he is, man. He's a perfect inverted right back. But when you play as an inverted right back, you put a lot more stress on the center backs and the defensive mid to cover you defensively. So as long as they're okay with doing that, Trent could play at his absolute best. But I want to get back to the matter at hand, which is him being linked to Madrid. A lot of different things out there. And the main one is the fact that we're letting his contract run down, haven't extended him. I am not stressing about this. We extend him. I'm not stressing about it. I know we will.
Who?
Trent. I'm not stressing about it. I'm really not. What I'm stressing about is the possibility that he ends up at Madrid. The fact that Madrid, just arrogance. It's just arrogance at this point, bro. Like, imagine being Madrid and taking Tchouaméni and Bellingham and just like beating us twice in the Champions League. They're just like, God, you know what we should really do? What? Let's go after their Scouser and vice captain and get him over here. Then
it's like all they need.
Then
really all they need.
Really own them, And it's like, it's almost just like a slap in the face. Like the possibility that if they got Trent, I would just be like, what are we even doing? We can't even hold on to this generation's Gerrard, I guess. Right? The Scouser that worked his way up through the academy. It's weird, man. It's a weird world we live in.
Here's what I think we're going to do. I think we're going to get one center back, and I think we're going to get Frimpong.
That would be lovely if we got Frimpong.
And Trent goes into midfield. I don't know why. That's just have a vibe. I just have a feeling.
Oh my god, dude.
There's people are saying that Frimpong wants to play here.
I don't know. It's just so weird. It's so weird. It would change up everything, man. It would change up everything. Max says, I only think Trent joins. He was told Xabi Alonso will be Real Madrid coach and he plays right wing back, and also feel Bellingham has done some groundwork. That's what the reports are saying they're relying on, is that Bellingham is trying to recruit him over. But we thought Trent was doing the same thing to Bellingham. So who knows?
Which I believe he was.
I'm sure he was. God, imagine if we got Bellingham. He's so good. Ross says, let's demand $250 from Madrid and then tell him to fuck off. Honestly, dude, though, with Michael Edwards, you could get 200 plus for Trent, but you have to extend his contract. Once you extend it, if they really wanted him, you could get so much money for him.
He has to stay.
There's no way he's not.
If he leaves, he'll be hated.
Oh, no doubt. I'm typing in Trent Real Madrid just to see the latest. Okay. Oh, see, some of this crap is just BS. What I'm seeing is Liverpool are in crunch. Trent Alexander-Arnold talks to extend his contract, which, I mean, yeah. I want to see what's going on with Real Madrid's interest in him. God, Kylian Mbappe, it's just ridiculous. Let me see. Trent has been one of Liverpool's most important players for years now, so it is surprising that he finds himself entering the final year of his contract with the club. It's certainly not an ideal situation. The belief is that they want to agree a contract extension with Trent. Now it remains to be seen whether they're successful in doing that. Real Madrid already have one of the best right backs in the world in Dani Carvajal, who should be a contender for the Ballon d'Or. What?
Yeah, it's because it's not an individual trophy anymore. It's about what your team does. I mean, he's not going to win it, but he'll probably finish in the top 5.
Dani Carvajal?
Champions League, yeah. Yeah, well, they won the
absurd.
Euros, Champions League, and League. That's all that matters.
That's absurd.
Like,
that's absolutely absurd.
It became evident when Erling Haaland didn't win the Ballon d'Or. He had the best season of anyone by far.
That's just absurd. He has won the Champions League. Yeah, not too
Kyle,
long.
Messi is in the conversation. Messi
It's just
is
stupid.
in the conversation for Ballon d'Or. He'll finish in the top 10. The odds are he's in the top 10.
So that tells me it's not no, that just tells me it's political.
Yes. Well, there's the political aspect to it, but it's also about what you win. Like, I really believe that someone could score 100 goals in a season. I know Messi had like 90 something in a calendar year, I think. I think someone could score like 75 goals in all comps, just break all sorts of records, and not win Ballon d'Or.
You talking about Salah?
I don't think he had 75 goals.
I know he didn't have 75, but the man had one of the best seasons I've ever seen for an attacker.
Mm-hmm.
And how about Van Dijk in 18-19? How about that year? He found himself on the stage with Messi and I don't know if it was Mbappe or Ronaldo. Ronaldo. He should have won it that year. He absolutely should have won. He was the best player in the world. But what are you going to do? What are you going to do? I just can't believe Carvajal. I can't even believe Ballon d'Or and Carvajal are in the same sentence.
Carvajal's towards the end of his year. Dude, I'm telling you, it's just because he won. He's won everything.
I don't care. So is the rest of the Madrid team and everyone else on the Spanish team. That doesn't
They
matter.
didn't win all 3. That's all they care about. I'm not saying it's right, but that's what it is. Carvajal has won 3 major trophies, the biggest available to him. He's won them all.
Yeah. Aylor actually brings up a good point here, going back to the Trent talk, that why would you use so much money on Trent when you already have Carvajal, right? So,
because he's 32.
okay. All right. Fine. But he's a Ballon d'Or candidate.
Yeah.
Lad's vice
It's the
captain.
same thing with Modric.
Oh,
It's
he
the
just
same
signed
thing.
another extension. That's crazy. He can still play, though. How highly he's rated and everyone associated with the club. No way in hell he's going to the Twats. I don't think he's going either, guys, but the links are just what's going to get clicks as of right now. You know, Madrid and Liverpool are just in this like constant tension, it seems like, right? I don't know why, but do you feel it, Steve? Do you feel this like shadow tension between
I know exactly
Liverpool
why.
and Madrid?
Yeah, but I know why. Well, there is that tension because they beat us and all that. They always beat us and whatever. It's because when you look at the other big clubs, right? There's Bayern and PSG, which I think are over here, like level 2 big clubs, because the league, they, for the most part, with the exception of the Bundesliga last year, they just dominate the league. Players want competition. They don't want the club that they choose to be talked down on, in the sense that, oh, it's a farmers league, right? So that leaves 2 leagues. That's the Premier League and the Spanish league. Barca have been in financial disarray for 2 or 3 years. So do you really want to go there? They got a lot of random guys.
Yeah.
They're still Barca, but like, yeah, maybe, right? Then you, in the Premier League, you have Arsenal, who are on the brink, Tottenham,
They're coming up, yeah.
and Chelsea's a dumpster fire. Man United, no one knows what's happening with them. So it's really City and Liverpool. City, there's this dark cloud of the oil money and no history, and the club, not a lot of supporters, and these charges looming. And that, to me, it's very simple. That leaves 2 clubs in the world where you're like, wow, like there's not really a blemish on those clubs. And that's Real Madrid and Liverpool. Now that Klopp's gone, I think that changes the conversation a little bit.
Okay.
I think it puts us maybe in a similar bucket to like Arsenal in terms of what we're drawing for potential transfers.
That's a good point.
But that's just me. That's how I see it.
We have to prove ourselves
Exactly.
with plot first. Okay.
We have to reprove ourselves.
Yeah. But see, that gets that. So you're essentially saying there's one top club in the world right now, and it's Madrid. Like the best players are going to go to Madrid, no question. Okay, you look at Mbappe, you look at Camavinga, Tchouaméni, regardless, whoever, right? Liverpool, though, oh no, I think you're right. It was different under Klopp. You could attract a lot of these players, but I also think the player has to be in the same mindset that you and I are in, that the player might not necessarily be looking at, I want to go to a club that's perfect, that doesn't have any black clouds hanging over, that is not quite, or that's top of their respective league, like that people aren't going to talk about me as a farmers league guy. Like players, I don't think they have that much autonomy in what they're choosing, right? If a top club comes to them, I think they're more than likely going to go, right?
It depends who the player is. If you're someone like Mbappe, your choices are very slim.
Of course.
If you're someone who's on top of the world, a Musiala, Yamal, right? Who's hot right now? Bellingham. These types of players, this small bucket, there's only a couple clubs, right?
Right.
Like, you even look at someone like Harry Kane. Like, he went to Bayern because, like, there wasn't much else.
I also think what was happening is that I think Tottenham needed some cash, and I think Tottenham really they wanted to move on from him. So they were fielding offers, and Bayern lost Lewandowski, so I mean, that was a perfect fit, I thought. I thought that was like a really good transfer. I don't think he left because there's nowhere else to go.
But I think he would rather be at Madrid, or maybe not Liverpool because he was in the Premier League for so long, but I think he'd rather be at Madrid.
I mean, a lot of people would rather be at Madrid. You know, I mean, Madrid is a great club to play for. You know, I mean, if you play at Madrid, Madrid is like playing. I feel like if you drew a comparison, bro, playing for Madrid is like playing for the Yankees. I know you don't want to hear that, but it's just that level of prestige that is very rare, right? Now, Liverpool's a top club. Don't get me wrong, and you're very like anyone would love to play for Liverpool, but Madrid is just different. And you can tell that by just the personnel that they have, the personnel they attract. All right. So maybe you're right, but I don't know. I don't know, man. I just want a center back. I just want a center back. Okay. Wait, what? Ayler says in Spain, by law, you must have a release clause. Interesting. Is that true? Can anyone verify that? Yeah.
It. Why not?
Yeah. Yankees suck. We know, but you do not. I know you agree with the comparison I just made.
Yeah.
No, Liverpool don't allow release clauses in the player contracts. I like that. I hate release clauses. I would never write a contract up with release clauses in it. So Steve, you know, with all these links and everything, with Trent, I think we'll tie him down. What's your timeline on signings? Because I know you mentioned it earlier. Like, we got to get these guys in. For me, I think if we can sign some of these guys by the end of the month, right? Like, get them in. I think it still gives them enough time to integrate into the squad before the first game of the season. But I think
I would agree.
I think end of the month is really like, unless you're just struggling with negotiations with the agent or the fee or the contract, whatever the case may be, and it takes a little bit longer. I think by the end of the month should be our deadline.
Yeah, and I think if we slip into August with nothing, then I'm going to start getting worried. I'm not necessarily worried right now because they have to be working on it. I do trust that they're working on something. I would almost argue that locking down Van Dijk and Trent is more important.
It's a priority.
Today,
oh yeah, it's a priority. Yeah.
But we've seen players sign contract extensions in the middle of a season. Like, the other thing to consider here, and this is the last thing I'll say about the Trent piece, is he can literally go to Madrid and make 2 or 3 times as much money. He's a Scouser. I think he'll stay. I think he'll be the captain. But, I mean, Van Dijk could go to Saudi, that's where the links are now, and make $1 million a week.
How about that? $1 million a week.
He could probably make $1 million a week.
Shit, he would run that league.
That would be a joke.
That would be a real joke, dude. He's still so top level.
He was so good last year until I feel like they all got gassed like they do late spring.
Yeah.
Mid-spring.
And with the Euros, dude, they're so tired. Everyone is so tired. Just give these guys an off season. Why don't they give them an off season?
They got a decent break right now. Especially Virgil. He got knocked out a week before the final. So he's had 2 weeks of break now. Hopefully that he gets the rest of the month. That would be like, almost a month off. That's pretty good, man.
Here's my closing thought.
It's not ideal, but it's not bad.
Enough. It's not enough. Here's my closing thought. It's the only sport in the world where you're just playing constantly, all the time. Yes, we know year-round training is something, but playing at the highest intensity level of competition every week for 50 weeks out of the year is an absurd level. Do people do it? Yes, absolutely. It's doable, but it explains the burnout come mid-March. Okay, it's just not sustainable. All right, and you got to give them more time off. You got to have a break in the middle of the season. And I don't know when this winter break is supposed to start. I don't know if it's next year or this year. I don't know when it's supposed to start, but that is going to be the best thing that they've ever done for these players. The month break in the middle of the season is so needed, dude. No international play, no training. Give them a month off. If you want to come in and train, that's great. Give them a month off. These guys are exhausted. They're running. Just think about this for a second, bro. They're running. Let's just be conservative. They're running 6 miles every day, every single day. It's a lot.
It's a lot.
That's a lot. Give them a break, man. That's where I'm at. Steve, you got any closing thoughts?
No, I think, hopefully next week we got something, maybe some more concrete links or like an offer to talk about.
Dude,
I don't know.
seriously.
We'll
God,
see.
give me something, guys. A new contract extension or a new player. But either way, shout out to all of our channel members and thank everyone for being here week in and week out. We appreciate you. We love you. Thanks for your input, and we'll see you guys next week. Until then, Reds, take care.